welcome to my channel. Today, I figured, since I have just started this channel, that it would be a good idea to kind of show you my TBR, show you who I am as a reader, show you what I want to read. And I also think it would be fun for me to wrap into that a haul of the books that I got recently. And by recently, I mean going back to September. So it is going to be kind of a lot because I have bought a lot of books. And the reason for that is because I got a job at a bookstore, which means I get an employee discount, which has been catastrophic for my bank account. Just terrible. No one should let me near the shelves. For example, I had my shift 3 days ago on Tuesday, and we weren't particularly busy, so I went to the bargain section and I bought 5 books. I'm coming to you today from a legitimate snow day. I'm in college and I have a snow day. This is, it was insane. Waking up to that text was insane, but I'm going to use it to film this video. I don't know how long it's gonna be. I have a pretty extensive TBR. It's like 5 shelves, technically, which is why it is one of my goals this year to shrink my physical TBR significantly. However, I don't know how helpful that's gonna be if I keep buying books. But it's okay. It's okay. A customer told me the other day that reading books and buying books are 2 very different hobbies and she enjoys both of them. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I love the sentiment, but I do think I need to read my TBR. So we're gonna get started. And I'm going to start with the haul because those are the most recent books I've bought. They're the books I am most excited for right now because they're newer. I think the best way for me to start this would be to go with the book that I bought immediately upon being hired at my bookstore that I work at. I bought Queen Bee by Amelie Howard, and this book, I have already read it because I figured I should start reading some of the books I bought. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Like, this book is like if Bridgerton met Mean Girls, but the main character was like really smart. I mean, look at that cover. Her jhumka, her earring, is a chess piece, which is like very significant to the plot. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. I love it. I'm pretty sure I gave this a 4.5 stars. All right, I think the next best move would be to go through this rather large stack of plays that I bought. Don't know if I've made it clear yet on my channel. I'm a theater major. Please don't click off immediately. I went to New York City at the start of December, and oh my god, it was literally right after finals. I was actively writing an essay while I was there. It was great. It was great. I really enjoyed myself. I went to New York City and I went to the drama bookshop. And I had been to the drama bookshop before, but it was before they renovated it. So this was a bookstore that was being threatened to close down. Like, it was going to close down until Lin-Manuel Miranda bought it from the original owner and has since restored it, which is just wonderful because I'm pretty sure it was like a staple to like kind of the theater community. So I went when Lin-Manuel Miranda had first bought it and they hadn't like done any redecorating. It was still great. I mean, the selection was great, but also I wasn't a theater major then, so I didn't really know what to buy. I didn't have the idea that I wanted to buy plays or anything like that. I went back. It is completely different. There's a cafe now. There's a place to sit. They have an art installation of books that are like a tornado kind of books on the ceiling. It was insane. And I spent, no joke, an hour and a half in there. My poor mother was sitting at the cafe just on her phone, and I kept coming up to her with like 4 more plays in my hand each time. So we're gonna start off. In the summer, I began my Shakespeare collection. Like, I started buying my own editions of Shakespeare for myself. It has made me very happy. That one was from Stratford-upon-Avon because I went on, a fun study abroad. But I decided to get the Royal Shakespeare Company editions of Shakespeare plays because they're gorgeous and I don't like the art in Shakespeare covers. We're gonna go through each of these. We have Othello, which I am reading right now for a class and for a video. We have Merry Wives of Windsor, The Taming of the Shrew, The Winter's Tale. I love this cover so much. It's just gorgeous. Much Ado About Nothing, Love's Labour's Lost, and this was the play cover that made me choose these editions. And I'm also very happy I chose these because they have a very extensive introduction. They have a bunch of production notes at the end, because Royal Shakespeare Company is one of the most premier places to do Shakespeare. Antony and Cleopatra and All's Well That Ends Well. I've been wanting to buy this since I went to London, but I couldn't find an edition I liked, so I'm very happy that this exists. This brings my total sum of Shakespeare plays that I now own to a solid 9, because I have a copy of A Midsummer Night's Dream on my shelf already, and I am very happy about it. I literally haven't read a single one of these. I bought ones that I hadn't read yet, which, to be fair, is most of them. Now, I didn't just get Shakespeare at the drama bookshop. I also got some ancient Greek plays because I have started reading them more. I've been more exposed to it because of my degree. I got Euripides' Medea, which I read this in freshman year, and it is a dream role of mine. I will play Medea at some point in my life because, oh my god, she's insane and I love her. Also, look at this cover. It's fire made of hair, which is just like womanhood, you know? And then next was Aeschylus's The Oresteia, which, if you didn't know, ancient Greek plays were all done as trilogies when they were put up at these competitions that first premiered them. So, you know, you'd have one tragedy, another tragedy, and another tragedy, and they would all be tied together. We only have one remaining trilogy from ancient Greek times, which is Aeschylus's The Oresteia, and I'm very excited to read it and see the completed story arc, because we only have bits and pieces, technically, because we only have one play or two play. We don't have three. So that's awesome. Okay, next I think it would be a good idea to get into the books that I just started buying for myself when I was at work, or when I just decided to go into work to buy books. I do believe if we're going with that route, the first one I have bought is A Tip for the Hangman by Alison Epstein. Essentially, this book is about another Elizabethan playwright, not Shakespeare. This one is about Christopher Marlowe, and when I saw this book, we had literally just talked about him in my Theater History 1 class, and he's a very interesting character because, one, when he was alive, people thought he was a better playwright than Shakespeare. 2, he didn't live very long. He died in his 30s in kind of mysterious circumstances. And 3, people thought he was an English spy. So this book is a fictionalized version of his life. In this book, he is being an English spy for Queen Elizabeth on Mary, Queen of Scots, and you will see soon that I have an unnecessary interest in Mary, Queen of Scots that was brought about by the CW show Reign, and I can't make it go away. So far, I'm in the middle of reading this book. I'm enjoying it. He's also gay. Love it. You know, since we're here, we can just further my embarrassment more as you learn more about me. The next book that I have bought is The Other Queen by Philippa Gregory, which, as you would know it, is a book about Mary, Queen of Scots. Now, both of these books are interesting because I know a lot about Mary's younger life. Both these books are about when she was imprisoned by Queen Elizabeth, and I find that to be one of like the less interesting periods of her life, so I am intrigued to see what these books are like. I've never met an Arthurian retelling that I didn't like, despite not really knowing the base legend as much as I should. I watched Avalon High at way too young of an age, and it altered my brain chemistry. So essentially we have Morgan Is My Name by Sophie Keach, which is about Morgana in, you know, the Arthurian legend. I haven't read this yet. I'm very excited to dig into it. It's about how her stepfather sucks so bad, and she is trying to revenge her life. So slay. Next, we have House of Marion by J.L., which I believe is a book about this girl who's in danger, so her grandma puts her into a debutante ball, but it's magical. It's like a debutante school to keep her safe. Yeah, she is put into debutante society because she has magic and she's trying to hide it. And I find that so intriguing. And I also think, like, when we dive into those like very feminine spaces that can have some drama in them, possibly, or like that's the outward perception, I do think there's always, like, in books, a really great opportunity for the main character to like bond with other women, which I think is awesome. That's gonna be a read down the line. Now, we have The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I read this book in one sitting, and that has not happened in years, which, now that I have been watching more BookTube, it seems like everybody says that, and I really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait to get to the second one. It's insane. Also, I guessed the plot twist. Well, I mostly guessed the plot twist. Now seems like a good a time as any to get into the books that I was gifted for the holidays, for Christmas, or just gifted in general. For the holidays, for Christmas, my ummo, or my uncle, we always go shopping together, and he usually asks me what I want. And this year, I had got the wise idea to see if he would let me do this thing where he'd set a timer and I'd get to run around a bookstore and try to pick up as many books in that timer, and then those would be the books that I get. That would be my gift. He laughed when I told him and then said yes, and it was helpful because we were shopping at the bookstore that I work at, so I got to use our employee discount, so that's great. So here are the books that I got during that little activity, which, by the way, I've never been more joyous. I've never felt more like a child. It was wonderful. I recommend that everybody do it. My uncle is probably the one person who would say yes to that, and that just, I love him so much. Love you. We're gonna start off with what I think has to be the most important book that I bought. We had one copy in our store. I didn't even know we carried it. This is the 100 Years of War on Palestine by Rashid Khalidi, and it makes me very, very happy that I now own this, that I can now read this. It is obviously an important real life recount of everything that Palestine and Palestinians have been through since the 1948 Nakba, and I haven't read it yet. I already know that this is something to recommend to everyone. He's the great-great-nephew of the former mayor of Jerusalem from 1899. That's just an insane family lineage, and now he gets to help Palestine in the same way that his great-great-uncle was, but this time he's telling the story of his country. I think that's beautiful. Again, everyone should read this. I was actually wrong. It goes before the 1948 Nakba. It goes to 1917. All right. Next, the book that I picked up was Babel by R.F. Kuang, and I am so thankful that I did, because I've since watched so many videos of people just breaking down reading this book, but this came out a while ago. It's not a book that I would have bought with my own money, if that makes sense, because it's very large, it's very intimidating, and I didn't fully recognize what it was about, so it wasn't at the forefront of my mind. So because I did this little scavenger hunt with my uncle, I got to pick up this book, and I know that it's going to change my life in some way. I'm very excited for that. Now, we have Five Survive by Holly Jackson, which is written by the author of the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, which is literally one of my top 10 series now. I'm obsessed with it. As Good as Dead, as you saw me reading last February in the bookshelves video, is so insanely good, and I cannot wait to see what this is like. I want to do the thing where you read the book in real time with the characters, so I believe it's over the span of 8 hours, and I want to do that with one of my friends. We just have to find the time to do it. That is definitely something I'd film, I think, if my friend was down with that. But yeah, this is gonna be a banger. I already know it. We have Killer Instinct by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which of course I bought after I finished The Naturals, or I picked it up during this thing because I had finished The Naturals and because it was so awesome. I cannot wait to read this. It's not the next thing I'm gonna read, but it will be soon. It will be soon. Yeah. This is another book that I would not have bought for myself if I was buying it with my own money, because it's The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, and look how giant it is. And again, didn't really know what it was about. I just know that people like it, and I just wasn't pulled toward it immediately. Now that I've read the summary, I am very excited to see what this is going to be like. Don't know when I'll find the time to read this, really don't, but soon. Because I had bought The Other Queen by Philippa Gregory in my little run around with my uncle, which by the way, he was standing there. I was the one running around. He was just I'm just gonna stand here. You do your thing. And then we had agreed on a minute and a half, and by a minute and a half, I only had 5 of these books in my basket, and I was panicking, and he could see that I was panicking, so he extended it to 2 minutes because he loves me dearly, which was just very funny. And at the end of it, because I have anxiety, at the end of it, when he saw that maybe I was panicking a little, he was like, you can go pick out another book, but I was like, no, it's okay. I'm going to follow the rules. I decided to pick up The Other Boleyn Girl by Philippa Gregory. This was one of the first ones I grabbed because it was at the front of my mind, and I thought I should just add more Philippa Gregory books slowly to my library. This is probably her most popular because I think there was a movie about it, I think. And Anne Boleyn had a sister, which I didn't know. So I'll learn more about her in this book. Lastly, we have All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody and C.L. Herman, which I bought after seeing it at like one of the feature tables at work. It is about this like blood moon competition, which has always been secret, but now because of the internet or something, well, maybe not the internet, but now all of its secrets have been revealed, which makes it super dangerous for everybody involved. So I'm super intrigued by what this is going to entail. Is it going to be Hunger Games-ish? Is it going to be way bloodier? Like, who knows? But yeah, this was also part of my Christmas gift from my uncle, which I am so, so happy about. I love him so much. The last two, like, gifts were these. From one of my best friends, I got If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, which is another dark academia book like Babel. I'm very excited to read this because it is about Shakespeare idiots. Let's call them Shakespeare idiots. It's going to be wonderful. I already know it. Very heavily inspired by The Secret History, which I have not read. I should also read that. But my best friend Vanessa has this whole thing about Catch-22, the book. So when we all opened up, she got everyone books. When we all opened them up, there was a very crude drawing of the Catch-22 cover taped on the front of these, and I fully thought she had gotten me a copy of Catch-22, which would have been hilarious. But instead, she got me this book, which is a book that one of my other best friends had been recommending me to read for like a year and a half. So clearly I need to get to this quickly. Lastly, we have The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, which I have read. I actually read it before owning it through the library. I wanted to own it because I loved it so much. And my coworker saw me buying this. It was a ridiculous day. My coworker saw me buying this and said, I have a hardcover copy at home that I don't want because the rest of my series is in paperback. Do you want it? And she gave it to me for free. And I just, thank you. Thank you so much. So all of my Hunger Games books are in hardcover. They don't have their dust jackets. They haven't for like a decade, but they are in hardcover, so she's going right where she belongs. We are getting so close to the end of this haul, and I love how I said it was a mini haul. I don't know if I did say that. It's not mini at all. This is going to be a long video. Now we are back to books that I just bought for myself. I'm gonna start with this little stack. These are the beautiful Cranford Collection editions of some classic books. My favorite is Pride and Prejudice, which no, I haven't read, which yes, I really should. It's also really funny because I haven't read Pride and Prejudice, but one of my guilty pleasure movies is Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I should read this book. Then we have Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte and Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I think they were sisters. I should know that, but yeah. Now I own these beautiful editions and I can read these classics. I already had a copy of Pride and Prejudice, but it's very small and it's very fragile, it seems. Where is it? I have this very old copy of Pride and Prejudice, but I'm kind of afraid to read it. Yeah, it was my aunt's. So this is one of my last stacks, I promise. We're going to rapid fire our way through the last of these, which I will also do with my TBR, and I'll only stop when there's something especially interesting to say. We have Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. My first ever book of the month book, Tomb Sweeping by Alexandra Chang. I read this over winter break. It was 4 stars, very good. I'm just not the target audience for a lot of short stories, I think, but this was really, really good. Pestilence by Laura Thalassa. I just finished reading this last week. It turned off all the voices in my head, so it was just hilarious. I laughed out loud like 5 times while reading this. We have Beautiful Redemption by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. I've been trying to read the Beautiful Creature series for like 7 years. I'm finally getting back into it. Like, it is Beautiful Darkness is the next one on my TBR. And I have never seen a paperback edition of the 4th book. And when I saw it in Half Price Books, I did immediately buy it. All right, our last ones. I bit the bullet. I bought Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I just need to see what all the hype is about. I'm going to read it. We got the holiday edition because we had it at my store, so that's nice. It is very pretty, I will admit that. I got You Again by Kate Goldbeck after it was recommended by Newlynova or Lexi on BookTube. She's somebody I watch a lot. I'm very excited for this one. It is Raylo fanfiction apparently, so that's kind of funny. All My Raid by Sabah Tahir. This has a Prince Award, so it was kind of funny that it was in bargain, but I am so excited to read it. I will read any book that has Arab main characters. So, correction, they're Pakistani, but I will read anything along that line. Next, we have Gallant by V.E. Schwab, which would be the 4th V.E. Schwab book I own. I have This Savage Song duology and The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So I need to finish the This Savage Song duology, and I just think I should dip my toes into the Schwab waters more. That was a weird sentence. Lastly, we have Rule of Wolves, which I had just like not bought despite having King of Scars right there. I definitely have a fancy edition of King of Scars, but this was like $7 on bargain, so I had to buy it. And it's in gorgeous condition. So yeah, we are done with the haul. We are done with the haul. And now we get to go through my TBR. Ah! Are you ready? I don't think you're ready. It's time to go through my TBR, which is far too long. But that just means I love books, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As you already know, if you watched my bookshelves video, as you already know, these last 4 shelves are my TBR. It's not all of my TBR. I have some over there, but we're just gonna get our way through it. I'm thinking if I tell you my TBR, then I have no choice but to actually read it. So I'm really making this to hold myself accountable. And so at the end of the year, I can look back and see what I read, what I didn't. We can have ourselves a little stats moment, a little reflection. So yeah, we are going to begin. What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. Amelia Westlake Was Never Here by Erin Goff. As If on Cue by Marissa Cantor for all the theater kids. And Take Me Home Tonight by Morgan Matson. I've never read any Morgan Matson. Save the Date by Morgan Matson. Better Together by Christine Riccio. I loved Again But Better. Still haven't gotten to this one. Alex and Eliza. A Love Story by Melissa De La Cruz from when I was in my Hamilton phase. Looking for Alaska by John Green. The Librarian of Auschwitz by Antonio Iturbe. I bought this so many years ago. I really need to get to it. I know I see a lot of people buying it at my store, so clearly it's got to be good. Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. I should have read this when my book club did last year, but I could not get to it because of school. So we'll try again. Codename Verity by Elizabeth Wine. This is years old. I need to read this book. Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas, because The Hate You Give is obviously amazing and on the come up, so I want to read the prequel. Displacement by Kiki Hughes. Again, I saw newlynova put this as one of their 5 stars, I think. So clearly, I really got to read it. I was gifted this in high school. Girl in Pieces by Kathleen Glasgow. I know this is a heavy book, which is probably why I have avoided it for so long, but I really should get to it. It probably does have a very worthwhile story to tell. And Celeste Ng, Little Fires Everywhere. Our last couple from this shelf are Lest by Andrew Sean Greer, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, and The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. We're on to our second shelf. Next, we got Shiny Broken Pieces by Sona Charapatra and Danielle Clayton. I might have read it already. It's possible, but I don't think so. The Cellar by Natasha Preston, who is also Wattpad sensation Natasha Preston. I started reading this like 6 years ago. I could finish it. I should. It's on my TBR. We have the entire Renegades series by Marissa Meyer. I've read Renegades and Arch Enemies, but I want to reread them, especially if I'm going to finally get to Supernova. Same for Divergent by Veronica Roth. I used to love the Divergent series so much, but I never read Allegiant because I got spoiled. But I really should read Allegiant. So if I want to do that, Divergent, then Insurgent again. We got 4 by Veronica Roth. Red Queen and Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. An Ember in the Ashes and A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. Honestly, the rest of this, at least for these shelves, is a lot of old series that I need to get to. The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. Again, I've read the first 3. I never finished Winter. Also, it really bugs me that Winter's in hardbacks, which is maybe another reason I'm staying away from it, so I should probably fix that. Beautiful Chaos, which is the 3rd book in the Beautiful Creatures series. I need to read this before I get to Beautiful Redemption. The first 2 books in the Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. The This Savage Song duology by V.E. Schwab. The first book in the Atlantia series by Ali Condi, which doesn't have a dust jacket, and I have read, I think. Really, I don't know what's going on. It's actually probably not the first book. That might be like the 2nd or 3rd. I don't know. I don't remember. The first 4 books in the Mortal Instruments series, which, fun fact, Red City of Bones wanted to get to the 2nd book, saw them at the airport, picked up the 3rd book in the series on accident, read that one, finished it fully. So I know what happens in City of Glass, but I don't know what happens in City of Ashes. So clearly I need a reread. The books in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series by Ransom Riggs. I think there are only 3 books in this. I could be wrong. There might be a 4th one that I should be having. Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer, which clearly I have attempted to read. I got literally like over halfway, but it's just very long, so we gotta try again. The Twilight Director's Notebook by Catherine Hardwicke. Me and my friends have a Twilight marathon every single summer, so I love the movies very dearly. Like literally my 21st birthday, I got a steelbook collection of them gifted to me. So I think it's only fitting that I own the director's notebook for the first movie. So I should read it. And I Darken and Now I Rise by Kirsten White. I read the first one. Gotta get to the second one. Superman by Matt de la Pena. I read the first 3 books in the DC Icons series because I wanted to read the Sarah J Maas one, and I just felt like I had to read all them. They're actually not even connected, so I really don't. Technically, I don't even need to read this one, but it feels like the right thing to do. We're not done yet. We still got that whole other thing. Warcross by Marie Lu. Scythe and Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. Seafire by Natalie C. Parker. The Thousandth Floor by Catherine Mickey. As we go down this TBR, we're getting further and further back in time, so I hope you're enjoying that. We're gonna go over to my bed TBR now. I mean, you're gonna stay right here, but I'm gonna go over there. And I'm gonna bring them over here. So, we have the Red Pyramid series by Rick Riordan. I still don't know how to... Rick. By Rick. We have the Red Pyramid series. I've literally read probably all of these, I think. I just want to reread them. I really enjoy them. I own the first 3 books in the Magnus Chase series, and I need to finish it. I need to read all of them. I haven't even finished the first one. I did read the first Trials of Apollo book. I definitely need to reread it. Essentially, I have not read much Rick Riordan past Heroes of Olympus, despite Percy Jackson being my favorite ever series, so we should get to that. I own Magnus Chase 9 from the 9 Worlds. Probably should read it. The reason I want to read all those books is because I want to read Chalice of the Gods, and I refuse to read them before I have caught up entirely. Oh, I almost fell. All right. We were doing a book trade last year, and I got The Secret of the Old Clock. My best friend loves Nancy Drew, so why not read it? I have inconsecutive books from the I'd Tell You I Love You, But Then I Have to Kill You Gallagher Girls Spy series by Allie Carter. I have Out of Sight, Out of Time, Only the Good Spy Young, Cross My Heart and Hope to Spy. I remember loving these books as a kid. I do want to read them just because of nostalgia, but I need to have them in the right order first. Savior's Champion by Jenna Moracy. I followed her on YouTube for so long, and I have read this book. I want to reread it. Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. And Survive the Dome by Kosoko Jackson. All right, let's get in to the fantasy that I've had for many, many years. Grim Lovelies by Megan Shepherd. The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. I got this in another gift exchange in high school. Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. The Trickster's Choice by Tamora Pierce, except this is part of a bigger series and I don't have any of the other books, so I don't know if I'll ever read this. The Ivory Key by Akshaya Raman. Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian. The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw, which I bought for its beautiful cover. Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I was also gifted a collector's edition of this book, so I really need to read it. I really hope I love it. Furyborn by Claire Legrand, which I've literally been excited to read for 5 years and I still haven't read it. House of Salt and Sorrow by Erin A. Craig with a beautiful cover. Three Dark Crowns by Kendara Blake. Guys, this is the very last stack besides Project Hail Mary and Crescent City 1 and Beautiful Darkness, which are on my bed TBR, as in they're where my nightstand would be because I am reading them this month. Let's finish this out, shall we? We have Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West by Gregory Maguire. From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I'm hoping to read this literally in February because I bought it for my friend for Christmas and I of course already own it. Be a fun time. I did the same thing with Pestilence. I got Pestilence for one of my friends and then she read it and I read it and it was a great time. We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J Maas, which is why I'm rereading Crescent City 1 because I've never read this book, but I did get it spoiled for me. So thank you so much, TikTok. You're literally amazing. I've been reading Sarah J Maas books for so long and you ruined the experience of this one, so thank you. Mary Queen of Scots by Antonia Fraser. I bought this while I was in Scotland after study abroad, and I bought it at the Edinburgh Castle, and it's beautiful, and also it is probably one of the leading historian books on Mary Queen of Scots, which, as we already know, I'm a huge nerd, so. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, which I have tried reading twice now, and I'm actively in the middle of reading with some of my coworkers. I will get through this. I know I'm gonna love it if I just get through it. Sisters of Sword and Song by Rebecca Ross. I picked this up because it was about Greek myths. I'm a simple lady. As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zulfa Katuh, which I got from the library. I'm covering up my information. This was a book club book. It is about Syria, which means a lot to me. I didn't get to finish it when my book club was reading because it was the last book we did and it was finals, but I will. I'm literally keeping this until I finish it. Finally, this is the last book on my TBR that I'm gonna show you. It's Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. This is my mom's book, I think, because I did not buy this, but it's gorgeous. I am so excited to read this because I want to watch the show. We've reached the end of my TBR. Thank you so much for sticking around for what I know is going to be a long video. I really wanted to show you more of who I am, and I think what better way than showing you the books that I'm very excited to read. I know I'm going to get to a lot of these books this year. It is my goal. It is my goal. So stick around. You'll see more of that. Have a great day. I'm gonna enjoy my snow day. Love y'all. Bye. I forgot one thing. Literally one thing. All right. These are actually the last 2 books on my TBR. We have Spiritbound and The Last Sacrifice by Rochelle Mead. I just need to finish the Vampire Academy series. So that's actually all we have.